Okay, continuing the walkthrough. So what I'm trying to say is, do you understand why the writer uses certain techniques like alliteration, like repetition, like a motif? If you're not sure of why the writer even uses those techniques, you will find in your Macbeth guide this very, very useful resource here. And what it does is it gives you a list of techniques that a writer uses, not all of them, but some of the main ones. And it says a definition for that technique. So, for instance, let's have a little look at the use of contrast, okay, because we have a lot of contrast in our texts, contrasting tone, contrasting mood, contrasting topics, contrasting characters. And contrast is really important when we're considering things like structure. So, and how a writer decides to structure their text. Contrasts are important for engagement, to go from something positive to negative to positive to negative, okay, to have that shift in emotions, okay, to create that emotional roller coaster. So there's loads of reasons why a writer might use contrast. So what is contrast? It's the use of opposing images, ideas, or words. So, for instance, we might get sort of a description of a character's personality, and it could be completely different to another character. So, again, that is a writer using contrast. Now, why does the writer use it? The writer is using it deliberately. The writer uses contrast to deliberately convey or highlight or emphasize the difference between two things. And it's important to have this knowledge of the effect of the technique in order for you to be able to write about the method on a deeper level. So, for instance, a metaphor. So a metaphor is when one thing is said to be another. Okay, you're comparing two things, but you're actually saying that they are the same. Okay, now a simile also says things, says that two things are similar, okay, or like. But a metaphor is more direct than a simile, okay? It encourages the reader to see things in a completely different, sort of abstract way, okay? And it creates something very, very unique, engaging, and just it can be as bizarre or as genius as it wants to be a metaphor. Okay, so just having the understanding of the effect is really, really important. So the methods you've got here are things like alliteration, assonance, sibilance, imagery, simile, metaphor, powerful adjectives, powerful verbs, adverbs, emotive language, the five senses, contrast, repetition, superlatives, hyperboles, onomatopoeia, personification, and the triplet. Okay, so using these methods, writer is using the methods to create these effects. That's why they're doing it. So it's useful to have this resource, and you can find it in your Macbeth Year 11 revision document. Okay, so language and literature, same reading skills, same skills. The writer uses the method to convey, symbolize, demonstrate, evoke why the effect of it is or could be this, that, the other. Okay, so this is your AO2, very, very important. So why is AO2 so important in paper 2, question 1? Why is AO2, the method, so important? Because of the mark scheme. So you've got, out of a possible 30 marks, to show that you read and understand the text and that you can use quotation to support your ideas. Well, all of you can read and understand the text. All of you have got great ideas. You're very good at zooming out into, the writer's purpose for writing. And your ideas are very, very strong. You can also look at different perspectives. So you can look at different readerships, such as modern readers or readers of the time. But the key skill here in question 1 is to analyse the writer's methods, to pick out the methods and analyse them. Okay, and the reason why is because you get more marks for AO2 than you do for AO1. So if you don't pick out the methods, if you don't drill down on words, if you don't look at semantic fields, if you don't consider the structure at sentence level or some structural techniques such as contrast, motifs, repetition, if you don't do that, you will not get beyond a level 3 in this question. So for level 3, you need to have a sound understanding of the text. Well, you all will have that. You need to be able to quote. You'll all be able to do the first 2. A clear understanding and explanation of language and structure and how they're used by writers to achieve effects, including the use of vocabulary and sentence structure. So you've got to be able to pick out, drill down on those, what can we call them? Those wow words within a quotation. You've got to be able to drill down at word level, and you've got to be able to even drill down at sentence level. Is it an impact sentence? Is it a simple? Is it a complex? Why? Why is it a complex sentence? Because it allows for more descriptive information. It's slightly more pacey. Why is it a simple sentence? It has a very abrupt, blunt, informative effect. Why? So you've got to go through the processes, and it's hard work. It's hard work, but it's completely and utterly doable. Therefore, if AO1 is green and AO2 is pink, so AO1 is your understanding of the text itself. AO2 is your understanding of the methods that the writer uses, so the techniques that the writer uses. Your paragraphs visually should look like this. Maybe with a little bit of a link back to the question in between. But the majority of your analysis has to be the writer's methods. Okay, so we've looked at that briefly with Maupassant's The Necklace, and there is an example